Hello, welcome along to the Tricky Talks podcast as Forest's unbeaten run under Sean Dyche comes to an end after a 2-0 home defeat to Brighton. We'll talk about that and look forward to a very important game against Wolves this coming Wednesday. Here with me to chat all of that is Chelsea. How are you doing?
Yes, not too bad, thank you. Wish that was a win, but never mind, we move on.
We do move on, and we move on to Kate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Reflecting on it all.
Yeah. And last but not least, Molo is here to join us all as well. How are you, sir?
Yeah, all good. Nothing we didn't expect, or I didn't expect. So we move on.
We do move on. Let's get straight into it then. And to quote Sean Dyche, Forest were miles off it, was his immediate post-match summary. And he's absolutely spot on, wasn't he? Because they were very slow out of the blocks. Brighton dominated the first 20 to 30 minutes. And as you put in the group message, Molo, it could have been 3 or 4-0 by half time. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think you have to give Brighton some credit. But the thing I'm interested in is why Forest was slow out of the box. What's the rationale? We'll start with you this time, Molo, because I know you've watched the game back. Why do you think Forest were slow out of the blocks this week?
It's a bit brutal. I think it's a combination, as you say. Brighton were all over us in midfield, and we haven't got the right kind of legs in there when a team put us under that kind of pressure. Obviously, Anderson can cope with it. Leave the rest of that unsaid. When we play a team that give us time and space in midfield, we're okay. And I'm not saying we're not okay otherwise, but there are certain players, like you say, that were miles off it. It wasn't just one player. Of course, it wasn't in that first 20 minutes. Clearly, the back four were very, very open, very susceptible for whatever reason. Nico got ripped a new one for 20 minutes by Minter.
Yeah.
And then the front two, they weren't. I think I heard Dyche's interview on the way home. He was talking about tactically getting it right with the front two. I guess what he meant was when Gibbs-White drops into midfield, because Gibbs-White had a really good game watching it back. It's just one of those days, and a lot of the credit goes to Brighton. Heck of a lot of credit goes to Matt Sells, without whom it would have been 4 or 5. And the second half, it was your absolute classic. I don't want to say game of two halves, because every game's a game of two halves, but classic. Brighton did all the hard work in the first half and then just sat deep, and it was only a matter of time till they picked us off. Yet the irony is, both goals were absolutely terrible. Just pumped it long, lost the header, or didn't head it, messed it up. Comedy of errors for the second one, I know, which was done and dusted, but awful defending. But the goals they could have had was frightening. The chances that they missed and the chances where Sells got us out of it, as opposed to we did an awful lot of really good build-up play in the second half, huffed and puffed, put lots of crosses into dangerous areas, overhit quite a lot of crosses as well. Even the lads who came on and made a massive difference, still the crossing wasn't really up to it on the whole. Couldn't seem to pick out a man, and the one time we did look like scoring, their keeper made his one save of the game, and then Sangare made a fantastic block off Gibbs-White's volley that, having watched it over and over, that was going in, no doubt whatsoever. Unless the keeper's Superman. It was just one of those days. What can you do? We just haven't got that complete performance there, have we? It was 90% of the way there once we got back in. But you don't necessarily win a game in the first half hour, but you can certainly lose it. And even though Brighton hadn't scored, they destroyed us, didn't they, for half an hour?
You mentioned Minte, Tor Williams, a new one on that right-hand side, and there's a reason why he's in my FPL team. Yeah. And that's because of all the midfielders in the Premier League, he has had the most touches in the opposition box. And you can tell why, can't you? I thought he was tremendous on that right-hand side and caused havoc, as did them on the left-hand side, Kate, as well, when they had De Kuyper, who scored the first goal, who's normally a left-back, was actually playing a lot more further forward. And they had 2 players right down in front of you for most of that first half, which were... They were causing their own kind of havoc as well, creating multiple crosses into the box. Obviously, there was a goal as well. Did you get a sense of that things didn't seem quite right on that flank as well as that first half progressed?
Do you know what I think it is? When we were talking about the Liverpool game, beautiful memories, like we didn't give we were moaning that people didn't give Forest credit for how good they were and spoke a lot about how off it Liverpool were. And I think this is an example of that. I've watched not the whole game back, but I've watched quite a bit back. And actually, Brighton were really good. They were really good. And at the moment, they are operating at a higher level than us. You can see that from their league position. And having experienced that game, you can see that from watching them play. And yeah, there was a comedy of errors for the goals, but ultimately they were better than us. And we can debate whether or not they should be, but they just were. I'm annoyed that we didn't do better. I'm annoyed that we were leggy. I used the word complacent in the group chat. I'm not sure that I actually think that now, having watched it back. I just think they were really good. They had the measure of us. And the tactics did need to change, and they did. And when they did, we got back in the game. I think they were generous. I listened to the Sean Dyche's pre-match for Wolves today, and they were saying that we put in a 70-minute performance, which I think is generous, because I think we were better. But like Molo said, we were better in that we had possession. We were getting in some dangerous areas, but I didn't think we're about to score a goal. We're about to turn this on its head really at any point, which again is how Brighton were playing and managing the game. So I think we just have to put this one down to experience and move on.
Absolutely. I mean, Chelsea, the reverse fixture last season was a 7-0 thrashing, and Brighton the manager came out afterwards and said they wanted to clean the air after that performance. Do you think that acted as motivation for them to play so well? Or do you think it was more a case of their current form playing a part? Because they are doing really well, as Molo said, in the league. I think they're now up to 5th, having won 6, drawn 4 out of their 13 games. Do you think that played a part, that last season's result, indirectly or not?
I think it's either going to go one of two ways with a defeat like that. It's either going to make a team absolutely petrified of us, or it is going to give them the motivation to just, like you say, clear the air. I think obviously it did do that. I think it maybe helped and gave them motivation in some way. But I think purely based on tactically, they were brilliant. They were very skillful. They were very direct, which ironically is how we played when we were playing Liverpool, and that is why we had the score of what we did when we played them. It's just a shame, really. I mean, you can't take anything away from Brighton. They played brilliantly, and you know, when you look at it, the best team did win in my eyes. But again, it's just that inconsistency from us at the moment, and I think that's what I'm struggling with. I think it is getting there, but slowly but surely, as they say.
You mentioned the inconsistency, but I've got another theory, and I'm wondering whether Forest are suffering from a Europa League hangover, because of the 5 games they've played in the Europa League so far. After Betis, they lost at home to Sunderland 0-1. Midtjylland, they lost to Newcastle 0-2. Porto, they lost to Bournemouth 0-2. Hopefully you can start to see a pattern. Graz, they did beat Leeds 3-1, which was against the norm. And then Malmo, they lost 0. That's 4 out of 5 games immediately following a Europa League tie that they've lost without conceding a goal. And of the one game they did win, it's against Leeds, who are down the bottom. Do you think, and I don't mind who takes this one, feel free to chip in, but do you think they're suffering from a Europa League hangover of some sorts?
I think it's a Murillo hangover, that I'd say, because I don't think... Because we got stronger as the game went on, so I don't think it stands. When you look at the minutes played by the players on the pitch, I don't think it stands. It's more, and I'm not going to run down at this point unless it continues to happen, the player that obviously came in for him, but at least one of those goals, and debatably 2, doesn't happen if Murillo's on the pitch. There's plenty of other chances they miss, so I don't know. I think the problem is going to be now, it's becoming a pattern, and then once that happens, just like the crap defending of corners, it becomes psychological, doesn't it? And that's a bit of a concern, but I don't know what you guys think.
I don't think we should have been tired or leggy, like Molo said. Actually, the way that Malmo was managed in terms of the team selection, in terms of the substitutions, was absolutely bang on. So I wasn't thinking that would be how they would play, and yet they did. I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on what was wrong, but there was something wrong. The substitutions definitely made it better, and I know we'll move on to talk about Hutchinson in particular and what that says about whether he should be starting on Wednesday night. It's another debate to have, isn't it? The fact that you can make those substitutions and come into the game much better would suggest that maybe Dyche did get that wrong, whether that is, again, psychological or not. But then he's said, hasn't he, why would you change a team that go to Anfield and win 3-0? And I think I said that on one of the previous podcasts, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And yet we came out a bit broke. I can't put logic behind it.
It's a difficult one, but that's why Sean Dyche is paid the big bucks, isn't it, Chelsea, to solve that particular problem?
Yeah, it is. And I think personally what I struggled with the most, and like Molo said, we were missing Murillo, and I think that did speak loud and clear to every Forest fan who was watching that game, or even just the highlights. Let's be honest, I think any Forest fan could see just the goals in general. We knew we were missing Murillo. I mean, the second goal, I hate pinpointing out players, but Morato, I've never really seen a defender put a ball on the penalty spot for the opposition, and he most certainly did do that. And it's just one of them ones. Overall, it was a bad day at the office. It was more of a worse day at the office for certain players. But like you said, I think Dyche is probably more frustrated than what we all are combined. He knows. He was open and very honest about it, which sometimes not many managers are. Be very quick to blame others. So hopefully that can all be sorted out by Wednesday. I did watch the pre-match conference with him today, and I think he was saying Murillo had a virus, that's why he missed the game. So he said that he should be okay for Wednesday. So fingers crossed all is well on that back four for Wednesday.
Yeah, you touched on Morato there, Chelsea, and you alluded to him as well, Molo, and the fact that for me it's kind of that sort of performance reinforces the view that A, how important Murillo and Milenkovic are, B, how difficult it is to cope without either of one of those, that's B, and then C, that Morato will always be a backup and you can't ever see him forcing his way into the starting 11 on a regular basis. That reinforces that view, that performance. Don't get me wrong, he's been solid enough up to now, but though that mistake for the second goal was inexcusable, I don't know how, as Chelsea said, how you could effectively place the ball and tee it up for an attacker
with a back heel.
With a back heel on the edge of your own box, facing away from goal. It was just inexcusable, really. And you're right, Murillo and Milenkovic don't make those sorts of errors. So for me,
say that, most goals can be 2 or 3 errors compounded, but that was an incredible 3 errors. Let's be fair, he's been absolutely immense. But Milenkovic should have headed the ball. He bounced over him. Why isn't he heading the ball? Apparently it's a communication thing. Then Morato's done that weak header back. Then he's recovered, managed to get the ball because it was a rubbish touch by their lad. And then he's done a little drag back for them. It was insane. Going back to Sean Dyche, if you don't mind me doing that, I think he absolutely called it. And he said 2 things in his interview that really stuck out for me that I was fearful of beforehand. One was after the Lord Mayor's show with those last 2 games, and the other, and he actually said this, and you know what it's like when you play in this type of game. Not that I've ever played the Premier League, but you know what I mean. This type of any game, doesn't even have to be football. When he said people were kind of just looking at each other and thinking, and as soon as you do that, as soon as you hesitate in any sport, and in football, in midfield in particular, you're going to be second best, aren't you? And that was absolutely clear to see. And what was it he said? If anyone else heard the interview, he said to the players at half time about nobody's going to give you anything in this league, you've got to earn it, blah, blah, whatever. And that was the difference, wasn't it? We won some tackles in the second half, some folk. And the referee he was marked less in the second half, and it went well, if you know what I mean. So it was better. But like Kate said, it was a lot of huff and puff with no end product though, wasn't it, in the end?
That's a nice segue into my next thing I was going to talk about, is that are we missing Chris Wood? Now, I know to a certain extent it's been covered up by the fact that they've scored goals. They got 3 against Leeds, 3 against Liverpool, 3 against Malmo. But Jesus has not yet scored in the Premier League. Neither has Callum Mwendo. Awoniyi hasn't either. The goals are coming, but was the Brighton game a good example of where Chris Wood would have benefited from that improvement that we saw after those first 30 minutes, Kate? You're nodding.
Yeah, I think we are missing Chris Wood. We're missing him as an option, and we're missing him as a bit of something different than the striking options that we have. Our injuries in general are starting to tell a little bit more now, aren't they? And I think that does come potentially with your European hangover maybe. Murillo and Milenkovic are this amazing partnership. You take him out, that's no good. When Calamawendo came on, I was just wanted to be wrong, because my initial response to him coming on was, I wouldn't take Jesus off for Calamawendo right now. That doesn't feel like the right thing to do. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm not sure that I was. He didn't seem to have an awful lot to offer. I was happy to see Hutchinson come on. I was happy to see Yates come on. I think they were absolutely nailed on. But once that had happened, it felt like we'd almost played all our cards in terms of what we could do to improve things, and putting Calamawendo on for Jesus just, to me, wasn't a card that was going to help things. I hoped I was wrong, and I wasn't. So yes, we absolutely do miss Wood. We miss Aina. You know, somebody said Zinchenko to me the other day, and I thought, God, I've forgotten we even had him. You know, it's been so long. But yeah, the list is growing, and hopefully Murillo is back tomorrow night, and we need him to be, because we cannot rely on Wolves being worse than us to take the points on Wednesday night. We absolutely can't. So I hope he's back. I hope the team have got their heads together, and yeah, roll on January.
Another player I wanted to talk about, and you mentioned it briefly in terms of the substitutions, Kate, is Hutchinson. Chelsea, I know I keep coming to you to comment on Hutchinson. I can't think why. Do you think, what does a guy have to do to earn a spot in the starting 11? Because we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago and agreed as a collective, I think, that Liverpool away was probably not the right time to start him. Yeah, we've had, and obviously he couldn't start against Malmo, but a home game on the back of the form he's been showing would have been an ideal time to give him that nod at the start. But yet again, he found himself on the bench, and yet again he came on and played reasonably well. So what does he have to do to get a start?
I think he's already done it, if I'm honest. I always saw him, and I've said it in previous pods before, I always saw him as more of an impact player, which again he did. After watching the game, don't see him as he is obviously still an impact player, but I see him as more of a starting player, and I'm hoping that Dyche has also seen that. I don't know how it was for you being there, but watching it on telly, the fans, when he came on, it's like it just lifted. You know that everyone wanted him on the pitch. You knew he was going to do something. He was going to make that impact. He was going to run down that line. He was going to be direct and was going to make something happen, which he did. And I know we briefly touched on Chris Wood. Can you imagine Chris Wood being on the end of the crosses that Hutchinson will do? You can see that he can pinpoint out players, and that's what Chris Wood thrives on. And we all know that. And I think them two, as a partnership, will just be amazing. And I know I'm coming like Hutchinson's number one fan. I remember like when we first, I was like, he's not worth that money. He's rubbish. He's from town. I think I've just because I'm a bit bitter about Ipswich Town just because I live here. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic player. I would love to see him start on Wednesday, and I hope. Because not that Dyche is going to go by me. I'm not in contact with him, but I've seen that I've changed my mind and that I want him to be in the starting lineup. So hopefully Dyche has seen that as well.
You mentioned something there that I also wanted to touch on. Some really good segues tonight, actually, in terms of Hutchinson coming on and lifting the atmosphere, lifting the crowd. And Kate, I know you wanted to talk about the atmosphere, and following on from Malmo, which did seem a little bit flat. It wasn't the passionate European midweek lights under the City Ground lights by the River Trent kind of atmosphere that we all know to come and love. And you commented again on the weekend that it seemed a bit flat. So do you want to elaborate a little bit more about that?
So first of all, I sit in the Peter Taylor stand. I sit in the family stand, and it isn't the central hub of the City Grounds atmosphere by any means. It's not. but you can still feel the atmosphere within the ground, okay? And what we tend to find is it either filters from A block to us, or from the Trent end to us, or it could, it sort of all filters to us. And when it reaches us, if we're singing as well, then it's an absolutely banging night.
Kate, I thought you'd be the hub of all the chanting coming from that family stand.
I am very much the loud mouth that sits in that area. You will be surprised to know. But in general, it filters to us from various areas, and there just hasn't been a lot of it. There hasn't been that feel around the stadium for me, and it hasn't been filtering through, and I struggle with that, because I love that about our club. I love that we do generally have a good atmosphere and that we do sing our hearts out. And myself and the people I was with were the only people left sat on our entire row when the full-time whistle went on Sunday. And that's never happened before. And that was quite a moment of, oof, there's something not quite right here. And then when I got home, and you're not going to like this, Mollo, there was even stuff on social media about how A Block was quiet and has been quiet. And I mean, I don't know, because I'm not close enough to be able to say, but I thought, my goodness, if we're talking about A Block being quiet, then maybe there is a bit of a problem that needs fixing here.
Because I had to sit in T Block.
Is it? But it just, I don't know what that is, because Sunday aside, we beat Malmo 3-0, and we have been on a bit of a run. And I think as a fan base, we definitely have been lifted by the Dyche and Stone, incoming. So I don't know why it's not there. I want it to be back.
You are normally in the hub of all the chanting. Mollo sat in A Block, led by Seatman of all people as well. So you have that week in, week out at the City Ground. Obviously, you just said you sat in T Block right opposite. Did you feel a difference sat where you were in the atmosphere, either what was coming directly from A Block or from around the stadium in general?
Well, to start off with, it was quite loud where I was, but unfortunately it was mostly Brighton fans. And credit where it's due. What was it? Obviously they were singing at Albion, and it was 7-0, 7-0. And then towards the end it was 7-0, who gives whatever, 2-0, Brighton over Albion with 2-0 up. I thought, fair play to them. Yeah. It was actually not that as bad as I expected. I've got to, hang on, one thing I have to add, it was proper cold. I've not been that cold for a long time at football. And bearing in mind, when I left the house, I thought I was going in A Block, and then ended up going in the T Block, sat right at the front, kept appearing on telly when I watched it back. I thought, oh no. My favourite was when the referee, there's a free kick and the referee came over and I was stood there going, book him. He'd already been booked. But no, there was a bit of that. Malmo, you've got to remember, there's a lot of not regulars, because not all season ticket holders took up the offer or took up their seat, because for various reasons, cost, saving themselves for later rounds, I don't know, I'm not going to judge, because it's got to a point now where you can't judge, and you know this as well as anyone, Simon, because of the sheer cost of whether you're going home or away. If you're paying for tickets, and I know I've got a season ticket, but I still have to pay for other members of my household that haven't got the season ticket, it's very, very expensive. And with all due respect to Malmo, the occasion was great before the game and at the start, but they were a League One side at best, and you've been asked to pay. One of my friends didn't go because he sits a couple of blocks in the middle, the posh seats in the middle of, posh view. It was £70 he was being asked to pay to watch a League One team. So that's part of it for the Malmo game. It came across reasonably well from A Block until we went behind. There wasn't much to sing about in that first half hour. I'm of the opinion, I'm from old school, that you get behind the team when they need you most. And we've seen it on occasions, particularly towards the end of our promotion season. I'll never forget that occasion. And I was stood next to the guy. Remember when we were 2-1 down against Sheffield United at home, and it was extra time, and it looked like we were on our last legs. And the guy next to me, he knows who he is, just started singing on his own, Forest Magic, on and off of it. He just wouldn't stop, and gradually it joined in. And then before you knew it, the whole crowd were driving him home. And I was, we saw that a lot in the first couple of years. Maybe there's a sense of entitlement because we've established ourselves. And also I saw an interesting one on that. There's a lot of people in the ground who don't even know the words to our anthem. they're still singing things like "See" and "Muller Kintyre," and don't know. I wouldn't have a clue what the real first verse was. And I know that sounds really minor, but if you've got people who don't know the words, they're not going to sing the songs, I suppose.
Yeah.
I did want to mention that because Sky Sports are really, really good at allowing you to hear the anthem pre-match. The commentators stop talking, particularly Seb Hutchinson is good at doing that. Darren Fletcher's good at doing that when it comes to Forest games. And they allow you to listen to Mull of Kintyre, which for us Chelsea's, we sit at home watching for most games. It's great. And we stand up and join in sometimes, depending on who else is around the house. But the Sky Sports cameras focused on a section of the crowd as Mull of Kintyre was playing, and half of them were interested in taking photos of the cameraman filming them, or they were filming Mull of Kintyre around the stadium. They weren't holding up the scarves and they weren't joining in. I just thought that was a little bit weird.
I have to say, Mollo, I've seen that post on social media as well, and I didn't know the Liverpool-y bit, so I'm going to sit and learn that.
I think everyone should. It should be homework for anyone who doesn't know it.
So I sing from the start, so I sing Mull of Kintyre or Mr. Running, and then it goes into City Ground. That's what I sing. That's what I've always sung. The bit that when it pauses and we all start with City Ground is always City Ground, and I don't sing C, but I always sing the first bit of Mull of Kintyre, so if I'm wrong, then please do correct me.
I'm doing right now. I'm correcting you.
Yeah.
It's City Ground. Far have I travelled, much have I seen. Goodison, Anfield are places I've been.
Yeah, they don't sing that. They don't sing the...
No. Block sometimes, but it's only usually about 50 or 100 people. Some away games it gets sung, very occasionally. It just depends if you've got enough of the old boys there as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought they were a little bit naughty at the start of the second half, playing the music after the kick-off, because you're supposed to cut the music the moment the game starts, and it did seem to go on for quite a few seconds after that. Not that I'm complaining, because it's always nice to hear Mull of Kintyre, but yeah, I thought they were a little bit naughty in doing that. But right, let's move on, shall we? Whilst we've got you, Mollo, should we do Mollo's moment, if there is one?
No, Joe, I've completely forgotten about this week. So I'm going to go for the unbelievable bit of Geordie Maradona's skill on the where I was sitting to my right, on our kind of right wing, I suppose, where he just absolutely left the guy for dead. I know Omari did it as well with some traditional wing play, but it was like he was playing futsal with a bunch of kids. It was absolutely taking the mic. I know there wasn't much of an end product and whatnot, but that little bit of skill was the moment of the game, really.
It was great. Right, very quickly then, should we do man of the match? Start with you, Chelsea. If there is one.
Well, yeah, exactly. Usually I'm like, bang, I know exactly who it is. But I was stuck between Anderson and Hutchinson this week, so I'm going to go Hutchinson.
Okay. I know it's really hard to give a man of the match after a loss in particular, but we have to do it if we want to get to the point where we've got our genuine player of the season, not player of victories, or draws. So we have to do it. So Hutchinson for you, Chelsea. Kate, who are you going for?
I'm going to have to go for Matt Salles on this one, just because I think without him it would have been so much worse, and I don't think even a 2-0 loss is reflexive of how well he played. He was one of the ones that played really well.
Yeah, I was going to say Matt Sells as well, and I actually said as much to Danny that before that second goal went in, I said Matt Sells is going to get my man of the match vote. Then there was the calamity around and the mess around that second goal, and at first I thought Matt Sells was a little bit at fault for that, but on reflection, obviously seeing the replays, it was mainly down to Morato, so he saved himself a man of the match vote for that. So he gets my vote. And Mollo, where are you going this week?
Same, Sells by an absolute mile. Without him, we'd have been embarrassed. And some of those saves weren't. You know, sometimes a keeper like that, Sunderland keeper made quite a lot of saves when we lost 1-0, but none of the saves were anything special. They were saves keepers should be making. This time, some of those saves, that little right-hand flick out, and some of his saves were incredible, where sheer reflex that 50% of the time with 50 to 75% of goalkeepers, they're going to go in the back of the net. And he kept all of them out, apart from the ones where he had absolutely no chance. So, sells by a mile. Although Hutchinson was our best outfield player.
Yeah, that save from Diego Gomez's thigh was particularly impressive, I thought, because that was reflex, wasn't it? That was... okay, right. On to the quiz, then, Kate. What have you got for us this week, please?
Okay, so I would like you to name the starting lineup from the last time we played Wolves away.
Oh, God.
Have a think about it. We'll come to it at the end.
Yeah. Okay. It might not be as difficult as you might think, I suppose, given the consistency of how there was so many players that played so many minutes over the course of a season. You could probably pick all of those players, and that was a lot. So yeah, let's park that one. Okay, FPL update this week, Chelsea.
Yes, right, FPL update. Me and Kate are in the same boat this week, aren't we, Kate? And Kate is very much frowning, as am I, because we both, as anyone would, if Haaland is playing Leeds, you'd think, seize the opportunity for a triple captain. That was me and Kate, and how many points did we get, Kate? A grand total of 6. Yes! But don't worry, Kate, we weren't the only people, because I did a bit of research, and 1,171,508 people also triple captained him, Kate. So we are not the only people.
You know, I could see it. When we were talking about whether or not to do it, I could see that Facebook post that you get where it shows a picture of sad people saying, how do you feel after triple captain? I could see it, and yet still, I played that chip. I am so bad. I'm nearly as bad at FPL as I am at the podcast prediction league.
No.
And we had 1 million people played Salah as a triple captain, and 690,000 played João Pedro as a triple captain as well, Chelsea. Didn't know whether that was part of your research, but huge numbers.
Yeah, they were. Well, it did get to that point for me where I was going, I've had enough of FPL now. And I did throw a bit of a tantrum, to be honest. But that's all right though, Kate, because isn't it after game week 19 then we get all our chips again, isn't it?
Yeah, we can get another 6 points and do it again, yeah.
Yeah, that made 12.
Is that 6 points from Haaland?
Oh, yeah.
So you got 2 points.
Two times 3, yeah.
That's probably better than most of my players, to be fair.
Can I say, I bet Mollo knew that. He was just rubbing it in, Kate. That's what it
No,
was.
genuinely, I was thinking 6 points isn't that bad for one player, and then I click. As I say, most of mine got 0 or negative.
Well, if only I would have triple captained Thiago, I would have ended up with, was it 39 if I'd have triple captained him? So That was great. But anyway, besides the point of that, Mollo, you are 6th with 35 points you got this week. Thank
35?
God. 35, but thank God you had Thiago in your team because he scored you 13, so at least that bumped you up there. But you're still beating us in our little mini league of us 4 anyway.
I was 4th.
Well, but closely followed in 7th place, Simon, with 42 points. He would have had 44, wouldn't you, Simon? But he had Casado in his team.
He got red carded, so lost points
-2.
there. He's going out of my team this week now.
Yeah, so I've had enough of him. Get out.
Can I just drop in and say, I was helping my young lad change his players because he had quite a few transfers to play. And I took out Thiago, the Liverpool Gakpo for him. Oh. And I put in Caicedo.
Oh dear.
And I can't remember the others, but I absolutely stitched him up without meaning to.
Sabotage, that
is. I was
going
to say.
No, because I felt so bad afterwards. But
I think he's going to have to go to George in future.
Oh dear. But yeah, then I'm in 13th place. I got 44 points.
Wow.
So, very, very average. And Kate, you're 21st place.
Yeah.
You got 36. I love it. Yep. With 36
Hang on,
points.
did you say 13th?
I'm 13th. Kate has gone down to 23rd.
You're creeping up bit by bit, very slowly. You kept that quiet.
I am keeping it quiet. I'm going to be the silent
now
assassin.
the silent assassin?
Yeah. Thiago got the most transfers in this week. 158,517. he got. So yeah, and I was one of them. I'm not going to lie. So yeah,
Same.
that is hopefully we'll all next week will be better for all of us. No minus points for Simon. Me and Kate have done our triple captain, so we can't do that again. And then hopefully it'll be a better week.
Don't
this
forget
week.
don't forget there are midweek games. Obviously, we'll talk about Wolves in a sec. So a whole full slate of Premier League fixtures for you to make another transfer prior to the deadline, which I believe is 6 o'clock
tomorrow
Tuesday,
at 6,
is it?
Yeah, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, yep.
Yep. So as I said, now Caicedo's got a 3-match ban. I'm getting him out for
Same.
Anderson, because Anderson's a DEFCON magnet, so, and that'll free up some funds to manipulate the rest of my defence, because Senesi is out for a game. Yeah. So Van der Ven is going to come in for 1 week, and then I'm going to try and ship him out as well. I've got no other choice. Yeah, no other choice other than a Burnley defender. So he'll come in this week, because I'm all kind of trying to get my squad in a state where I can use my bench boost prior to game week 19, because that's the only chip I've got left. But you have to have a decent bench.
Sounds like a very unbalanced squad there you've got, Simon.
It is for now. Right, anything else, Chelsea, on FPL?
No, that's all good. Just hopefully we'll all have a better week this week.
Right, let's get on to Wolves then. It's looking like Wolves still at the bottom of the league, only got 2 points from 13 games, so they've lost 11 out of the 13. They've only scored 7, they've conceded 28. They look doomed, if we're honest with you. However, they have got a new manager in place. We've yet to see that new manager bounce from Wolves. Let's hope it doesn't start on Wednesday, Kate. But are you making the trip this week?
Yes. I'm going to Wolves. Still checking every half an hour on the tickets for Everton on Saturday. But I have my Wolves tickets and I will be there. I had a great time last year. Yeah, definite highlight last year. So
we were right in our peak of form, weren't we?
We were. But yeah, I'm just concerned that we do need to go at it. This is a much needed 3 points, and I think if we do fail to get something from this game, then we are gonna start to worry. Yeah, definitely.
I think it's certainly a game where Forest need to be looking to take the initiative and be offensive. I think not offensive in swearing a lot, but offensive as in pressing forward and taking the game to Wolves, because they are there for the taking if Forest get their game right. And on that basis, I do wonder, Mollo, if Hutchinson is going to start. I know we said it wasn't the time Liverpool away, but Wolves away is a slightly different kettle of fish, isn't it? And I wouldn't be surprised to see him start, because he's got that spark at the minute, hasn't he? And they need to take advantage of that, don't they?
I think based on what Sean Dyche said after the game, I'd be quite surprised if he doesn't start. He's earned his start, and regardless of forget league position, I think he should be starting now in the next game, whatever, because he's done enough. And I'm not normally one for dropping a player after 1 week game where Ndoye really didn't have a good day at the office either. We didn't mention him earlier. But be wary. I watched the extended highlights of Wolves Aston Villa, and Villa were very lucky. Wolves should have got something out of that game.
Same.
And I looked at that, and I said to when I was watching, I said, "Why are they starting to play now, just before we play?" So I don't want to say I'm terribly nervous. That's ridiculous. You've nailed it. Start well, go at them. Probably 2 wide men, whoever they might be. Hopefully Hutchinson will be one of them. I think the 2 who start the second half give different but really good problems. So I'd go with that. I'll probably make 1 or 2 other changes elsewhere. You won't be surprised where one of those might be. Obviously centre half if he's fit, and take it from there. And see, we've got enough to win, but that doesn't mean we will win. We had enough to win on Saturday, but we didn't play as we should or can.
See, I've said a few times about feeling that Ndoye needs to be stronger, and you might not think that Hutchinson's going to offer that, but did you see that shoulder barge? This little guy, he's a little guy, let's be honest, isn't he? And he proper went for it. And who was it? I don't know the Brighton players.
Remember.
But he absolutely clattered him. And I thought, go on, get in there. That's what we want to see. So yeah, get him on there, get him shoulder barging. And I agree, I think he's got to start.
It looks like, Chelsea, that according to Dyche, and you perhaps can shed some light on this, that Gibbs White is also in a good position to start as well, according to his presser earlier. Is that right?
Yeah, I think Gibbs White, I don't know what it is. I do feel like he's a fantastic player, but I do feel like at some points he was trying too hard, and I've said this before in other podcasts, and I don't know whether the pressure is off him a little bit more now because he's not in the England squad maybe, or whether he does feel more pressure because he's trying to prove himself. I've got no idea, but I do think he has just gone up on that level anyway, and without a doubt he's got to start. I mean, I don't even know how many chances that he had in the Brighton game, but it was, again, on another day, they would have gone in. And it would have been... Oh, sorry, Mum, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, talking of Gibbs White and Wolves, has anyone seen that clip from the fixture last season where it's a social media clip of a Wolves fan behind the goal who just happens to be filming as Forrester attacking and as Gibbs White scores, and she's giving her own commentary in this Wolverhampton accent about... Oh, he's going to score. I don't believe it. I hate him.
I haven't seen that.
And then he scores, and then they all say, oh, just hate him, all that sort of thing. It's absolutely hilarious.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
If you get a chance, it's a very, very good clip. They just happened to be filming at that moment. He scored, and obviously he did his special celly as well. So great clip. But it looks like he's going to play, hopefully. How much do they rely on him, Kate, this week, considering he's got perhaps that extra motivation because it is Wolves?
So I read it was a problem with his back that kept him out of Malmo, and possibly he did look a little bit when he came off, didn't he, on Sunday. But yeah, in the press conference, he seemed to say that both Murillo and Morgan were going to be available, and everybody wants to see Morgan Gibbs White go to Wolves and score. Of course they do. Like, We've always championed him, haven't we? And, he's had so much stick and all of it has been nasty. I mean, hopefully that's not going to happen. Hopefully enough time has passed now and it's not going to be a feature. But yeah, he's back to his best, I think, in general at the moment. And when Morgan plays well, we play well in general. So yeah, I hope he does start. And I look forward to seeing a little bit of this. Let's hope on Wednesday evening.
Right, I just made reference to that game they played last season at Wolverhampton, and of course it's your quiz this week, Kate, your question to name the team. Should we get back to that now?
Yeah, go.
I mean, I think a lot of it, as I said, is going to speak for itself. You're going to have Matt Sells in goal. I think the back four is going to be Aina, Williams, Milenkovic and Murillo.
Yeah.
Gibbs White obviously played and scored.
Only Chris
I
Wood.
would imagine Chris Wood scored. I would imagine probably Anderson played.
Yeah, he did.
Question is, would it have been Sangari or Yates? I reckon one of the two.
Or that's my one question: Yates or Dominguez?
Oh, see, I thought Yates or Sangari.
No, it wasn't Sangari, I'm sure.
And
of
I'm
it.
thinking probably Alanga played and probably Callum Hudson-Odoi played.
I'm pretty sure they both started that day.
So is it Yates or Dominguez? It wasn't Sangare, was it? Because he...
We wouldn't have won 3-0, would we?
No.
I'm going to be wrong.
Because I remember Awonyi came off the bench and scored at the end, didn't he?
Did.
Which was terrific.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to...
It was a gift, wasn't
I'm
it?
trying to visualise.
Yeah.
I can remember.
Oh no, that's what I'm doing.
Anderson and Gibbs White linking up brilliant. Yatesy, because Yatesy got the secondary assist.
All right, we'll go with that because I'm not sure either.
Or am I wrong?
So you are going Williams, Murillo, Milenkovic, Aina, Anderson, Yates, Callum, Morgan, Ilanga Wood.
Yeah, and Sells in goal.
Sells in goal, yeah. Should have gone with Dominguez. But other than that, you're spot on.
Oh.
Right, good. I hope you're not going to... This isn't going to be a common trend where you're going to ask us to name the team for the opposition every week, because I think that's going to be tricky.
I might throw it in a few more times. I have to say that one was more standard than some of the others, but I still thought, we'll give it a go. But
well,
pretty good.
Not too bad.
Pretty good.
Right, coming to the end of the show. Any final thoughts, Chelsea? Because I know you've got to dash for a nice meal.
Thank you very much, Simon, by the way. I hope Murillo's back. We need Murillo back for Wednesday. I just think In terms of reliability of our team, our two centre backs are just amazing. They are the brick wall of every game that we've played, and I just really hope that Murillo is in fighting form for that game. And for me, the Wolves game I'm very, very nervous about. I think it's a must-win game. Personally, we need those 3 points. I think we're just above the relegation zone now. I need to see a bigger gap in terms of points and position to make myself feel a bit calmer. So I just hope we can perform like how we did at Anfield, and you can't ask for any more than that.
There's a little bit of a gap now, isn't there? Forest 12, Fulham 17, so that 5-point gap needs to be closed, doesn't it? Very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, Kate, anything from you?
I'm going to shout out the Garibaldi girls again, which I know we do a lot on this podcast, but I had a lovely time pre-match meeting two Garibaldi girls that I've not met before, who put a message in the group to say that they were on their own, coming to the game. Did anybody want to meet up? I'm always up for a meet-up, so met two lovely ladies before the game. We had a right good football chat, and yeah, big up the Garibaldi girls.
Yeah, what were their names, Kate? Do you want to give them a shout out?
Hey and Kim, and yeah, it was really lovely, really good, yeah.
And last but not least, Mollo, final word from you.
No, a sad one really, just a massive first thank you to the Brighton fans. I thought the minute silence on Saturday for Joshua Travis, Sunday was impeccably observed. I cannot imagine what the parents are going through. 3 of us on here have got kids around that age or have been that age. So massive thoughts with that family, obviously. And finally, just there's been a lot of get well soons for Robbo. Obviously, let's hope very much, talk about that in the future, but that he gets well or better soon.
Absolutely, well said. Right, that brings the show to a close. Thanks very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. We shall be back later in the week with a review of Wolves and look forward to the weekend's fixture against Everton. Thanks again for listening, and bye for now.